I met with Mr. Giuliani.
Do you consider yourself loyal?
2 weeks, 12 witnesses,
being placed on
and one clear and corroborated story about the president's conduct.
I found the July 25th phone call unusual because, in contrast to other presidential calls I had observed, it involved discussion of what appeared to be a domestic political matter.
Was there a quid pro quo? The answer is yes.
It is improper for the President of the United States to demand a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen and a political opponent.
The public phase of the impeachment inquiry laid bare allegations the president, vice president, secretary of state, White House chief of staff, and other high-ranking officials were aware of a plan to pressure Ukraine's president. A coordinated effort to dig up dirt that would be useful to Trump in the 2020 U.S. election campaign.
Everyone was in the loop. It was no secret.
Witnesses testified that the scheme was pushed directly by Trump and his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and required Ukraine's new president, Volodymyr Zelensky, to publicly announce 2 politically motivated investigations. One investigation involved Joe Biden and his son Hunter, who sat on the board of a Ukrainian energy company named Burisma. The other would probe a debunked conspiracy theory that Ukraine, not Russia, was responsible for interfering in the 2016 U.S. election.
This is a fictional narrative that has been perpetrated and propagated by the Russian security services themselves.
In exchange, Zelensky was hoping for a coveted Oval Office meeting with Trump and $400 million in U.S. military aid that had been approved by American lawmakers but was being held up by the White House.
OMB representatives reported that the White House chief of staff had directed that the hold should remain in place.
The White House hold on military assistance is what prompted the anonymous whistleblower complaint that led to the opening of the impeachment inquiry. The complaint came after a July 25th phone call between Trump and Zelensky. The White House transcript of the call shows Trump asking the Ukrainian leader for a favor before mentioning the Bidens and 2016.
What exactly did you hope Zelensky would do about the Bidens after your phone call? Exactly.
Well, I would think that if they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens. It's a very simple answer.
Career diplomats testified about their shock at learning about the freeze on funds and the push for investigations. A message communicated to the Ukrainians by U.S. Ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, a Trump mega-donor.
Was there a quid pro quo? The answer is yes.
That guy.
He was being involved in a domestic political errand, and we were being involved in national security foreign policy, and those two things had just diverged. And I did say to him, Ambassador Sondland, Gordon, I think this is all going to blow up, and here we are.
It was counterproductive to all of what we had been trying to do. It was illogical. It could not be explained. It was crazy.
Sondland testified Trump never explicitly mentioned the hold on military aid as being linked to the scheme, but he assumed that to be the case.
President Trump never told me directly that the aid was conditioned on the meetings.
Under oath, Sondland also recalled a phone call with Trump on September 9th, 2019, in which he pressed the president for clarity.
What do you want? And it was a very short, abrupt conversation. He was not in a good mood. And he just said, I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky, President Zelensky, to do the right thing.
That call happened after the White House learned of the existence of the whistleblower complaint and learned that the complaint was going to be transmitted to Congress. 2 days later, the military aid to Ukraine was abruptly released. A few weeks after that, Trump met with Zelensky at the United Nations. The Ukrainians never launched either of the requested investigations.
To withhold that assistance.
The weight of the evidence from all those witnesses, the president's own words, and the testimony of constitutional experts.
If what we're talking about is not impeachable, then nothing is impeachable.
Convinced Democrats of the need to act swiftly.
We must be clear. No one, not even the president, is above the law.
They announced 2 articles of impeachment against President Trump. Abuse of power for the alleged scheme to pressure Ukraine for his own personal political benefit, and obstruction of Congress for refusing to cooperate with the impeachment inquiry by turning over documents or producing witnesses. Those articles of impeachment will move to a committee vote later this week and a full vote before the House of Representatives, likely before Christmas. But it's up to the Republican-controlled Senate to decide whether or not Trump should be removed from office. They're likely to spare the president his job. However, they cannot remove the stain of impeachment from his record.